Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Resistance to me is kind of like the granddaddy of social deduction games. This is the one game that kind of like everything kind of blew out of, and now everybody puts out a social deduction game because they're cheap and they're easy and they're all pretty much the same game, right? But Resistance was the first one, and Resistance is a game I really, really like. Today we're looking at the original Resistance, the original core game that came with it. This one does come with a minor expansion of the plot ones. That kind of shakes things up a little bit, and that's neat, but the real core mechanic. So this is a game that I always bring out with new gamers. They want to try something new, and it works and it doesn't work with a lot of people. So it's not a universal like. It takes people a couple games that kind of know what's going on, and then about half the room will love it, and half the room will be like, blah. And I think it just depends on what kind of personality you have. If you have that really outgoing personality and you want to get into it, I think it's more fun. If you're a sit back and an introvert, I don't think you're going to like it all that much. Now, I like Avalon better than this one. I like some of the other social deduction games that have a little bit more to it, adding some expansions. For me, bland is okay. If you're going to play with gateway people, maybe you're trying to introduce them to a new game, I 100% say you should stay with this. I should mention that the theme doesn't do anything for me. The Avalon theme does a little bit more, and some other social deduction themes do more for me. This one is okay. The whole futuristic hacker thing, whatever it is, doesn't really work for me, but I know it does for a lot of people. But if you're looking for a simple gateway social deduction game, this one works very well. It's very popular, and you will hook some people in. But just know that not everybody's going to like the social deduction. They don't know what to do at first, and they kind of have to get into it. So you want to commit to maybe 3 or 4 plays. I mean, the game plays quickly, and keep it moving so they can understand the rules and the logistics of it, and I think you'll be fine. For me, I like the Resistance. I'm going to keep it for now. But I think Avalon would kind of replace this, move this out, and keep Avalon at that point for me. But for now, it's going to be a small keeper. And one I highly recommend if you're looking for newer gamers to bring in and play a party-type game, this is definitely one of my go-to top 3 party games that I would play. Here are the player boards that you'll have. These are kind of flimsy. They're not cardboard or anything, but they do have different pictures on them and different player counts down here that you'll have for each of these. But they do just kind of sit on the board, so I think that they'll be fine for this purpose. In addition, you're going to have any number of little chits. These are hard cardboard that will come out, approve and reject. And you have the little machine gun that you'll designate who's in what, and some trackers over here. Everything is good quality. I mean, the artwork is kind of clip art-ish, but it is okay for the theme that you're playing with here. You also get a number of these cards that will be used as a variant for the game that you'll be able to utilize. You can see some of it will repeat here, but you can see the artwork is very good. You have a tracker here on the side, and the font is a tad small here down here, but the artwork is nice. Here are the roll cards you're going to have. Now, these are linen finish, and these you want to be very secretive. So you might, even though they're very nice cards, you might want to sleeve these. You're going to have a number of these for the different characters. And you can see everybody has unique artwork on them that look pretty darn good and kind of into the theme that you're going to have here. Really, all that's important is what icon that you're going to have here. And people will be looking for that as they play. And you can get a number of these in order to play with the different player counts. Lastly, you're going to get a deck of these cards, which will be fail or success. You don't see a lot of artwork on them. Very generic. But that's all you really need in order to play the game is fail or success to keep it very simple. But nothing to write home about either. You might want to sleeve these also. They have a nice linen finish on them, and they do feel really good in the hands, but you don't want these chipped at all, and the sleeves will help you with that. So here's the rule book. You're going to have a QR code if you want to know the video rules and you want a video on it. The contents do not have any pictures, which is bad and objective, but they do kind of describe the cards and the tokens down here, so we'll give them a pass for that. You can see there's a lot of bland here. The text is a little bit small, and it kind of goes through it, tells you little strategy tips about how you're playing and how to conduct everything as you're going. And it kind of ends right here, and you can see you can win up. Now, over here is the Plot Thickens, which is an expansion that's built into this, and that's fine. You can see it goes through that. Now, I find this game to be a little difficult for new gamers to kind of pick up. You need to kind of play a round or two, and then it'll click for them. The game isn't very difficult. But, I always keep this open, go through the verbiage, make sure the setup is correct. It's very important in this game. But I think, maybe 10 minutes reading this and go through a game or two, you'll be fine. And there is the link to the video rules if you want that. So I'm going to attempt to explain the game a little bit here. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a number of resistance and spies depending on the number of players. So, for example, with a 7-player game, you're going to have 4 resistance and 3 spies. You'll take 4 of the blue cards with the fist and 3 of the spy cards, which are red, with this icon, and you will shuffle these cards up. And once you sufficiently shuffle them up, you will give a card to each player. When you get your card, you will secretly look at it and allow nobody else to see it, and you will know, hey, I'm a spy. If you would have got a resistance, then you would say, hey, I'm a resistance. Of course, that'd be all in your head. Nobody will know who you are. So you get one of these cards, and you know what faction you are, but nobody else at the table will know. Then what's going to happen is everybody is going to close their eyes. And if you are a spy, somebody's going to say, close your eyes. Everybody will close their eyes. And if you're a spy, you will then open your eyes and look around and see who the other spies are. So these people will know who each other are. The resistance players will have their eyes closed, so they will not know who the spy players are. Only the spies will know who each other are, and the resistance will not have any information at this time. Then everybody closes their eyes. You wait a couple minutes for pupils to get back to normal, and then you say, open your eyes, and you're ready to play the game. So what you see here is we're in round 1, and we're on the first vote track. Somebody will be given the first player marker, and you will be the first player, and you will go. So what you're going to do is in the first mission, whoever is the first player will choose 2 people. It could be themselves, or it could be other player, and he will give them a gun. These will be the 2 players going on the mission. And then everybody will vote secretly. They will choose one of their approve or reject tokens. If they choose approve, they are saying, yes, I want these 2 people to go on the mission. If they say reject, I do not want these 2 people to go on the mission. And people can talk and as much as they want. And then you're going to look, and if the majority say approve, that means in this case 4 out of the 3, then they will go on the mission. If 4 out of 3 reject, then they will not go on the mission. So everybody will take one of these, place it face down, everybody will simultaneously reveal. Great, it's been approved. Or it's been rejected. If it's been rejected, then you will move this down. The next person will become the first player, and they will choose 2 people. They could choose the same 2 people, or, well, it might fail, or they could choose 2 additional people. And now you're getting information about who is choosing who. If it ever fails 5 times in a row, then that means the spies have succeeded for this mission, and you would move on to the next mission. And in this mission, you would have 3 people go on a mission, so you'd be giving out 3 of these guns. Third one the same, and that's what those numbers mean. So let's go back for a second. Let's say this has been approved, and 2 people are going on a mission. Each player will be given 1 success and 1 fail card. So they will have these, and they will pull these over. It's important to note that if you are a resistance player, you may only play the success. So if you were given these 2 cards, you would have to play the success card. You would play this face down, and nobody would know what card it is. So if you are resistance, you must play success. But if you're the spy player, you could play the success or fail. Let's kind of show how this would go. So let's say he secretly plays a success. Then these 2 cards would be shuffled up by the first player, and then he would reveal both cards. It's a success, and you would put a success out there. Well, why would the spy player want to play a success when they want to fail it? Well, what they've done is they've got some, if these 2 players were playing the cards, there's got some discrepancy. Who is the good guy and who is the bad guy? Now, if you had failed, let's say the spy player had played a failed card instead, we would know one of these 2 people are bad. And this would have been over on the fail side, on the spy side. So the spy player can kind of play with people's expectations depending on what cards he plays. And that's the gist of the game. Now, how do you win this game? If the spy player wins 3 missions, then the spy players were to win. If the resistance were to win 3 missions, then all the resistance players will win. So the spy players know who each other are. They're very much aware of who they're going after, and they want to create as much dissent as possible. The game for the resistance is different, though. The game for the resistance is they want to find out who is good, or, in this case, who are the spies, and they want to vote along with it. So when they're sending people on missions, they want to send only resistance players. That's tough. And as the votes go through, you're going to find out who is who in the game. And that is very important to the resistance. So this is an expansion for the resistance that's included in the box. During each round, the start player will distribute a number based on the number of players of these cards, but not to himself. Now, there are a few different cards that you will have, and you will see the icons right here that you will be able to see what kind of cards that there are. If you were given a card with this symbol, that means it's a leader and must be played and discarded immediately. Overheard conversation. You must look at the character card of a player on your immediate right or your left. So that card would be played immediately. If you get a card with a 1 on it, you will use it when it says you may null an approved vote and force leadership change, a vote of no confidence. You may also grant a square 1, which will go into play and stay in play. You must vote first and publicly for the rest of the games. This will be set up around a character, and they must always vote first, and everybody will know what their vote is. There's different things in the game that will happen. So here's one that says, in the spotlight, you can choose another player to submit their mission card face up. You must reveal your character card to one player of your choice. So people are getting information. The leader must show the character card to a player of their choice. And this will just kind of shake things up as you play the game. I would recommend this only for advanced players if you're looking to shake things up a little bit and get a little bit further away from the base game and have a little bit more information going, a little bit more things for people to talk about and people to lie about in particular. So that's how the expansion will work. Who should buy this game? If you play with a lot of new gamers, or you want to play like at a Cub Scout troop, or a church event or something like that, we're gonna have a bunch of new people playing. We've had work events where I brought this game where people are able to play like a game. Just understand it's going to turn some people off. They're not going to have the personalities. You want to make sure that they can come out and people are laughing and having a good time. Make sure it keeps moving around and keep the game going at a good brisk. I think people will really enjoy this. Larger groups are better with this game, I feel. You don't want to go too much because then you're sitting around not doing anything. But there's a sweet spot with this, like 5 to 7 people for me. 5 to 8 people I think works really, really well. Resistance has been one of my favorite games, one I can easily recommend, but this version of it is vanilla. It's very simple, and understand that going in.